Good morning. It's not out of here yet, but it's closer. Brock did a good job yesterday. He got shields put on, and he got most of it greased. Left me some notes, and obviously in yesterday's video talked about how there was a couple that he couldn't find and couldn't get. So we're gonna finish it up here today, this morning. He'll be here at 9, and then we're gonna try and get this out of here today. Although I'm not entirely sure where the corn combine's gonna go. Corn head's gonna go to Berkey, but combine's gonna go in a barn somewhere. I just don't really have space for it. So we might have to do the equipment shuffle game today too. So I'm gonna start working on some of these covers that Brock couldn't get in yesterday. I don't know why he couldn't get this black one here in, but it goes on. It goes up in there. It's to cover the back of the rotor cage up. He got the rest of them on, but we should be able to shove it in there pretty easy. Okay, well, it was a little tight getting it in there, but it went. It's in. So these shields here are kind of a giant pain. So I got this one on. Goes up under there, but this one just, it's got to kind of wiggle its way up in through here, and it is a real treat to try and get it in there. Yeah. I got that shield in, and then I found some rotten corn. Turns out we never pulled the auger from the moisture sensor, and there was corn in there, and some of it was growing, so I'm cleaning that out. Brock's here, and since he decided not to wash some of these shields yesterday, I told him to start with those. So there was a few that that one, he already got a few of some of the other ones, and put them back on. Somehow or another, Brock managed to cross thread some bolts over here yesterday, didn't we, Brock?
Yes.
So I get to fix it. So this shield here, this is for the battery box compartment, and bolts go in there, and they go in about yay far and then stop. So not a big deal. We have a tap and die set for it, so I'll just clean up the threads. But I'm gonna do it with two hands so I don't mess them up worse. Just a little bit to get it started. This other one is a little trickier because I can't just spin the handle with the step there, but we'll get it. Okay, there's that one done. Brock's gotten a couple more on the corn head up here. Hey, where are these grease zerks that we need to find?
Up there in the pulley.
On that pulley, yep, there is one up there.
One up there. One right up here.
That's the one that's broken?
Broken. Threaded. Threads are...
Oh yeah, that one's gonna be fun, isn't it?
Oh, up in here.
I see it. Okay. Dirt.
The last one.
Dirt.
Oh, right over here.
Oh yeah, I remember from your video. Yeah.
Up front, the plug that you gotta take out that I was about to round off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's find that one first. That's the easy one. Okay, so maybe this one isn't going to be the easy one to get to, but this pulley right here, inside one of those grooves, there's a grease zerk, like in the bottom of it, but it's clearly around the back side because I can't find it, can't see it, I can't feel it. So I also cannot rotate this. It's pretty solid, so I think we're gonna have to run the combine in order to get to it and hope that it stops where we can see it. Okay, this one was the easy one. So we just gotta twist this plug out and put a grease zerk in there and grease it. So the reason they put a plug in there instead of leaving the grease zerk in is because there's another grease zerk on this right there It's a 50-hour grease. This one is a 400, and apparently they don't want you to overdo it, so they put a plug in there so you don't just grease them both every time because you're not sure which one's the 50 and which one's the 400. Anyway. Tight spaces make it difficult to work, but I got a little extractor and was able to spin it out. It wasn't stuck in there, it was just broken off, so it was just a matter of being able to grab the threads. And we got it spun out, so now we can put a new grease circuit in there. Okay, well, I had our crop consultant came up to drop off some soil samples and maps and stuff. I'll go over that stuff with you a little bit here later this afternoon, but, huh? Oh, you put them on? Cool. All right, so Brock's we got all shields on the combine?
This one right here.
Oh, that one on the top of the feeder house that, yep, we need to do. So everything else is done. We got to get the snouts. So they're in the back, and we're going to drag them up here and put them on. All right, well, we got them up here. They're a little dirty, so Brock's going to clean them off, and that's going to take him a minute. Okay, well, while he works on that, I'm going to put this one on. It goes on that gap and covers all of that stuff up. Oh man, somebody got my dang. Anyway, it's got to get flipped around. This goes in the back, kind of like that, and then it's got these kind of like slide latch deals that they slide in there, and then you tighten them down, and it holds it in place. See this one? Slides back and forth. You just slide it over and then tighten it up. There we go. And it's got that rubber piece in there, and that's what allows the flexibility for it to allow the feeder house to go up and down. Before we start this thing up, I do want to check the oil and stuff. And we just changed it, so I just want to make sure everything is good. Looks good. The third hole. I'm putting this unload auger drive chain on. There. Hopefully this one doesn't bend and should be good. So we replaced this arm because the old one bent. And basically you tighten that down, tighten this nut down until it compresses that spring to within the step of that gauge there, that washer, and then jam the two nuts together, and that's good to go. Well, he's getting them. We got a few put back on. I gotta run down to my house. Countertops are here, and it's exciting, so I'm gonna go do that. So, you gonna go eat lunch? Okay. Finish these and then go eat lunch. We'll let them dry off and put them back when we get done. We're back from lunch. Snouts are all on, so a couple of them have some electrical connections that need to be made for the feeler there and those ones. So he's finishing those up, and we've got to attach the clips on the back here. There's a clip that goes on there that holds them so they don't fall off. And then I think we're done. Are we done? I think we're done. Cool. Done. We're done. We're done. I'm calling it. We're done. So Brock is getting our header cart out and ready. Apparently we had a low tire, so he's getting that. I have put the winter Carhartts on because I have to go outside and it's freaking cold out there. And we're finding some gloves and a hat. I got a hat around here somewhere. Maybe over here. Somewhere. I'm gonna find it. And we have to go find somewhere to put the combine, which may mean equipment shuffle time in the back shed. Well, this is exactly what we're building the new barn for. It's gonna be a little tight here. So I think we're gonna move this wagon. And then he's got that sprayer in there. I'd like to put the combine right here. It's kind of my idea, so I don't know. I don't know. We got some other stuff backed way in here. I gotta make a plan, and we're gonna have to do a lot of shuffling. Okay, we're moving equipment out of the way. We pushed them sprayers back around a little bit. I think we can put the combine in here. The seed tender's kind of going to be in the way, but we'll deal with it. We'll have to move that wagon. I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, it's out of the shop. We're going to go out here in the driveway and we're going to try and run it. Probably not the corner head because I don't have it hooked up, the drive shaft, but we'll see if the rest of the machine all turns and runs like it's supposed to. It'll make me feel better. I'm gonna leave the door open so we can listen. Sounds smooth. No threshing speed, it's in neutral. That's okay. Everything else is running though. Seems good. Okay. Drop the head. I see Brock missed a shield, which is not his fault because it's pretty hard to get to that big open hole in the grain tank with the covers closed. But now that I got them open, we'll have to put that one on. Ah, there goes my help. So now I get to put that shield in the grain tank and finish moving everything away. All right. There. I only dropped one bolt and had to get a new one because it was easier than finding the one I dropped. Well, it's in here. Kind of backed up right to the seed tender and the 4020. I knew that seed tender was going to be kind of in the way, but it's all right. It'll probably move at some point, but we're going to leave it here. I'm going to go ahead and hit the battery disconnect so that it doesn't kill the batteries. And that one's done. Now we just got to figure out how to piece everything back in here. So, I don't think I got a big enough gap to get that wagon in there. Definitely not. But I could shove the gator in there. Oh, we'll see. Well, before I put everything away, while I've got this tractor out, and everything is good and frozen, there's some pallets and boxes and stuff in the front yard of my new house that need to be cleaned up and put away. So, I'm going to go do that. I moved some stuff over there by the barn. We've got one more box here. This one is just trash, so we're just gonna pick it up and then go load it up with some stuff out of the garage and haul it back to the woods, to the burn pile. Well, I had this stuff in the yard cleaned up, so I decided since I had the backhoe out too, I could get a load of trash from the garage down there. So I'm hauling that back to our burn pile. Then we can put the backhoe away. And then all we gotta do is figure out what to do with the big tractor, the 9R. It's not gonna fit in there. The problem here is that we bought that air seeder this year and we want to keep it inside. So the back half of our shop here, where I would normally put something, is taken up by an air seeder. Bummer, because the combine would fit over there, but not with the air seeder in there, and there's not room in the back for the air seeder either, so yeah. Oh well, it might sit outside for a while. I am going to try and get the 8R and the disc in the front of the shop. I don't know if I can get it lengthwise, if it'll fit in there or not, but we're going to try because we got a bearing out that needs replaced on the disc, and I would like to change that tomorrow. And then we'll just go park the disc outside and unhook it. Bring the tractor back in. Because that's the first one we're going to go through, do the maintenance on. And clean. Made it. Okay, so we're going to let this thaw out overnight here and worry about it tomorrow. We've got at least one flat tire up there, I can already tell. So maybe we'll fix that while it's in here too. I don't know. Should try and pick all of this frozen crap out of here. And it's dirty and oh jeez. Oh. Anyway, we got a bearing out. This one right in there. So we've gotten really good at changing those. This one's easy to get to because it's on the end. So all we got to do is clean that up enough, pop a roll pin out, zip that nut off of there, change the bearing, put a new one on, put it back together. Got all the stuff. We can probably do it in 20 minutes, but we're going to wait until it's warmed up. after we get this done and out of here, this tractor will be coming back in the shop, and it's time for its bath and oil change and all of that. We put way more hours on this than I was anticipating, and we normally do this year. It got over 500, so it's yeah, we got our work out of it this year. I do have, oh yeah, while we're on this subject, I do have new tires ordered. I contemplated putting new tires on this tractor last year. I didn't end up doing it because we put new tires on the 8430 on the rears, and these weren't as bad as those, so I thought we'll just run them another year and they'll be okay. So we did that, and well, I shouldn't have, for a couple of reasons. One, we had a terrible wet fall, and some lugs and traction on the back of that tractor would have come in pretty handy a couple of times when maybe we wouldn't have gotten stuck with it pulling a grain cart or whatever. And two, the price of those tires has gone up by $300 per tire, so by waiting a year, I essentially cost myself $1,200. What are you gonna do? All right, I'm gonna run down to the house and see if they are done with the countertops, or at least what they're doing today. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, check it out. We got countertops. Boys' bathroom. Nice. Our other bathroom. Nice. Check this one out. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, beautiful. Oh, yes. Kitchen. Countertops are in. I like them a lot. Okay, so before I go home, I promised you guys I would tell you a little bit about what we talked about with our crop consultant here this morning, so I wanted to just show you a couple of things here real quick. So they drop off this book for us, one of these every year, and this does not have all of our fields in it, but it's got a tab for all of the fields that we soil sampled this year. So we're just going to look at this one right on the top here because it's the top and it's the easiest. And so this is the outline of the field, and you can see all these squiggly lines and stuff. We do our soil testing on zones, not grids. So a lot of people will take a field outline like this. Sorry, I don't know why it's doing that. Lights, I guess. But they'll take a field outline like this, and they'll just draw grids that equal an acre or 2 acres or 5 acres or whatever, and they'll pull a sample from each one of those grid points. Problem is, nothing works in straight lines like that. Look how these different zones are and everything. So I and our crop consultant likes to use zones where they are actually grouping yield environments and or soil types and a lot of different things to try and pick out areas of the field that act and behave similarly and sampling those together rather than just straight grids. So this particular field here, there's 84 acres in it, and these are the zones. Like here's A, B, C, and you can see how many acres are in each zone. And yeah, so that's that. And then these are the soil test results from each of those zones. So what they will do is they will come out and pull samples, and they'll take probably 8 to 12 cores per zone. So they'll drive around and pull a core of a soil sample from right here. That'll be a core. So it's a probe that's, I don't know, an inch diameter. They'll go 6 inches deep, I believe. And then they'll do another one over here, and another one here, and another one here, and another one here, until they get 8 to 12 in each one of those zones. They'll mix all of those from that zone together so you get a representative sample, and then they send that to the lab. So for zone A, which is back up in this area, we'll go through the results. Here's letter A, matches up with that zone. So the total exchange capacity, that's the CEC, cation exchange capacity, 11.35 on that one, and you can see the range. We got some 11, 12, 12, there's a 14. The higher the number, the heavier the ground, the more clay content, basically. It's the more sites that are in that soil for it to bind nutrients to, more or less. 10, anything under 10 is sort of a sandier soil. This field had lots of zones, so there's a 15. You know, a lot of them are in that 10 to 15 range. Yeah, that's all of them. Okay, so then we'll keep going down. Then we see a pH, and shows that. This one here, there's a 5.9. We want that to be somewhere around 6.5. So these were a little bit low. This is actually the field that we used that wastewater treatment lime on to raise that pH number. So hopefully those numbers are better the next time we sample. Tells you how much organic matter we've got, 2.9, 2.8 up to 3.5. You know, we don't have a ton of organic matter. That one's a 3.8. So that's pretty typical for our ground. And then this is a sulfur, tells how much sulfur is in the soil. Sulfur is a leachable nutrient, so it's not something you're going to build, but single digits there, which is why we are applying sulfur both as a ammonium sulfate dry broadcast and also in ammonium thiosulfate liquid in our starter. And then this is phosphorus. They use a Malic 3 test, and the top number is pounds per acre. The bottom number is parts per million. That parts per million number is kind of the number that most of us are, or at least that I'm most familiar with. Teens is not great. Getting up into the 20s, especially mid to upper 20s, is not terrible. So this one's got some variability. And then there's a bunch of other tests. We can see calcium, magnesium, potassium. Potassium's another important one. You know, these numbers aren't horrible, but they're sort of low. That one's at 206. That one's pretty good. Sodium, and then there's a base saturation, which goes back up to that exchange capacity and sites for stuff to bind, and there's certain percentages you want in here. I don't know them all real well. I'd have to look some of them up, but your calcium to magnesium ratios and some of that stuff is all important. And then there's some micros that we test for. Boron, again, it's a leachable. It's not something you're going to build in the soil, but I've been putting some boron in with our starter, so good to know how much I need to add and how much may be in our soil. Iron, manganese, copper, zinc, aluminum, all that stuff. So anyway, what do we do with that data? Well, they make up these maps, right? So this is the application map for what they call blend 6 and boron. And blend 6 is, I believe, 80% potash, so 0060, 60% potassium, and 20% AMS, ammonium sulfate, which is nitrogen and sulfur. And so you can see how the rates vary across different zones. So we've got anywhere from, what's the low, 200 pounds per acre up to 300 pounds per acre, and it varies. And if we went back and correlated, you know, okay, so let's look at a low zone and a high zone. So this is C, I think, and we'll see what that one is. Zone C and zone F. So let's look at our soil test and see what was the potassium on zone C, 106. So that's the low number, which is why it got the high rate, right? Yep, got the 300 pounds because that was low. And then we look at zone F, and it's at 206, which is why it got the low rate. So we put less on where we need less, right? Makes sense? And then this is the map. So MAP is monoammonium phosphate. This is our phosphorus. It's 1152%, 52% phosphorus. And it's the same thing here. We go anywhere from 90 to 140 pounds. Now, our phosphorus levels you don't need as much to build them back up. You don't need as much phosphorus in your soil as you do potassium. So that's why the rates are lower there. But anyway, so that's kind of how this works, and there's lots and lots of tabs and fields, and yeah, you know how it is. So that was a really long explanation. That was longer than it was supposed to be, but there was something else that we talked about. You guys, it's going to make this video long. My apologies, but you guys remember that nitrogen test plot that I did where we tested different nitrogen rates through our anhydrous, our side dress application, some with a stabilizer and some without. So we use stabilizers to help keep the nitrogen from leaching, more or less, keep it in a plant available form. Well, I had a test where we had done 3 replications of our standard full rate of nitrogen, our full rate plus a stabilizer, a 75% rate without a stabilizer, and a 75% rate with a stabilizer, to try and see if there was any results and differences from that. And I have the results from our particular study, so I'm going to go ahead and share them with you here. Try this with a screen recorder here, but so this is the map of the field and where the strips were. So the colored strips in the center of the screen there is the plot, and you can see the different colors were the different replications. I'm not sure exactly which ones were which right off the top of my head, but we'll see that when we go down here. Oh, right there it is. So the green is FNT, that is farmer normal treated, so treated with the inoculant. Yellow is 75% of our normal rate, which in this field was 190 full rate, 142 was the 75% rate. 75T, the red strips, was 75% treated with a stabilizer. And then the blue is farmer normal, no treatment. So that's straight 190 with no stabilizer. Yep. It all says that right down there. I should have just read it instead of trying to figure that out. This is those strips overlaid with our yield map. And then these are the results of each individual strips and the average. So the top four there, R1, 2, 3, and R4, that's replications, 1, 2, 3, and 4, at the 75, so 75% rate. Average yield, 224. And total pounds of N would have been, I don't know why that says 136, because I put 142 on, so I'm not sure where that 136.5 number comes from, but it should be 142. Anyway, still, we had a 224 average yield, which is really pretty good. Moisture, 19.5, and then it gives you a dollars per acre number there as well. That stock NO3, stock nitrate number there, that's kind of something that's important to follow along with, because those numbers are very high. I'll show you the scale here in just a second. But so the thing here to look at is the averages, right? So strip one, or the top one, the average was 224. And then we go to the 75% treated, and it was 223. So this would show you that the treatment cost us 1 bushel per acre. That's probably not significant. That means it just didn't do anything. On the full rate side of it, farmer normal, we were at 226 and then treated at 228. So what that means is that that extra 25% of added nitrogen added about 10 bushel to our averages. No, it did not. Not 10 bushel. It added just a few bushel. 4 to 6, 4 to 5. So not a lot. And then but the treated was 2 bushel better. Now, if you go over to the dollars per acre side of it, you can see that the 75% rate with no stabilizer was our most profitable there at $1,123 per acre gross income. So, and I told you those stock NO3 numbers were important. Well, what that tells me is that we had way more nitrogen than we needed. So he did show me the results from one of the other plots that they did this on, from somebody else, and he said most of the other trials, the stock NO3 numbers were sub 300, which is in the critically low. So if you look at the scale right across the center there, 0 to 250 is deficient, 250 to 700 is low, 700 to 2,000 is optimum, 3,000 danger. Now, danger just means for feed value. It's not dangerous to the corn or anything else, but a lot of ours were over that. You can see this, the chart there. The 3,000 is kind of right in the middle of that scale, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that were over that. So what it tells me is we had way more nitrogen. And I said, well, why is ours different? Did the other farmers put less nitrogen on? And they didn't. They were in that 180 to 200 pound range, which is right where we were. I think what the difference is this field had chicken litter put on it last year, and I think we got a lot of carryover nitrogen that we were not planning on. So those are the results here. There's some other stuff that it talks about it in different zones, whether it was a high yield zone, a medium yield zone, a low yield zone, but that's beside the point. So, and then this is just data on it. So what that tells me, though, in the fact that our nitrate levels were so high and that we didn't get much of a benefit from adding that extra 25% of nitrogen there, is on these fields where we're putting chicken litter even in the summer before we plant the crop, where we would not normally count on that, and I would think that nitrogen would not be available to our corn almost a year later. It is. It's there, more than we thought. And so next year, I can cut back pretty significantly on those fields. So we have 4 different fields that we put chicken manure on this last summer that is the same situation. And so, you know, maybe instead of putting 190 pounds on, I only put 120 pounds on. And we'll do just as good because there's enough carryover nitrogen. Or maybe it's at least worth taking some nitrate samples before we do our side dress to see what is there so that we can adjust our rates a little bit better and know. And in a year where our nitrogen costs are 3x of what it cost last year, that's pretty valuable information to have, and it's going to save us a bunch of money. So anyway, that's good. Okay, I'm going home. Thanks for watching today. Hit that like and subscribe button. Shop work tomorrow on something other than a combine, so that's exciting. Kind of. And a few other things going on. But hit that like and subscribe button for me, would you please? I would appreciate it if you did. And we'll see you again in the morning.